So we're here at a good buddy of mine, Charles Lafitte's house. We're going to go in and talk with him about a recipe that he's got for us to use. We're going to pass this along to you. We're going to find out exactly how he prepares it. It's a recipe for Savannah red rice. Let's go inside and meet with Chuck.
Mark.
Chuck, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you?
Good, good. Good
Welcome
to see
back
you.
to Charleston.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you have me over here today. We're going to talk about that red rice recipe you've got from your family.
Sounds good, man. Have a seat. I got a couple of cocktails.
Perfect,
okay?
thanks.
Sure. Hey, man, have a seat.
Thank you, Chuck.
Got you a nice bourbon. I know you don't like the scotch I drink. That's just too bad.
That's perfectly okay. I appreciate you having bourbon for me.
Sure, man.
So how you been?
I'm good. I'm good, man.
Good. So we want to talk to you today about your, you've given me a recipe that I used a long time ago, and asked me not to relinquish it to anybody. But I want to talk to you a little bit about where you came from and how your family got to where you are and what your roots are here in the South.
Sure, man. Well, most of my family is from the Savannah area. Supposedly, we were descended from the Huguenots that founded Perrysburg, which is just a little ways up the Savannah River from Savannah. It was on the South Carolina side. Founded around 1730, and I think by 1840, everybody had left.
Wow, that's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, it is.
So out of Perrysburg, where did everybody go to from there?
Most of them into Savannah, some in New Orleans, pretty much all up and down the Georgia coast, northern Georgia coast, southern South Carolina coast, even around Allendale area, something like that.
And your direct family is from the South Carolina then?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So you've been down here for all of your life?
Yeah, I was born in New Orleans, but I've been in Charleston for 30-something years now.
So, right. What are some of the cool things that people should know about the South?
Well, again, it's always nice weather here, except when you have hurricanes. The food's great. The people are very friendly. Lots of things to choose from and do all time of year.
Right.
No snow.
Awesome. That's awesome. So going into the food then, you've got, I noticed a picture or a recipe card here. It looks pretty dated.
Yeah.
What is this about?
It's fairly old. That's an old family recipe.
One thing I noticed on here when you did give it to me is it calls for 2 cups of cooked rice.
Right.
Okay. And when I looked at this recipe, being a chef, and I'm like, okay, cooked rice, 2 cups. That's a little bit of rice.
Right.
And then right below that, it says you're going to add a pound. That's 16 full ounces a pound. That's like 4 servings of protein. Yeah. And there's a cooked shrimp or sausage or oysters to this rice. That seems like an awful lot of protein for only 2 cups of cooked rice.
Well, it's a lot of protein, but you have to remember when this dish was made originally, it was made as a standalone dish.
Right.
It wasn't what you get in a restaurant where it's just the rice and a little bit of tomatoes.
So this was your meal? This was an entree?
This was the whole meal.
Okay, I got you. So it makes more sense that all that protein would be in it then.
Exactly. So what you want to do, you want to make enough at one time to feed whoever's at the house, whoever's there.
So it's a well-balanced meal right there because it does have the protein, it's got the starch, it's got the vegetables into it, and that's a really cool thing. So that's I did understand that further as you discussed. Right. And I think these are the nuances that you need to bring across to everybody that you plan to making. So it's really cool, and I do appreciate you passing this along to me. You really make me feel like a part of your family. All right, so Chuck, thanks a lot for the recipe, man. What I'm going to do is take this back to the studio, and we're going to prepare this for our guests.
Okay.
And under your direction and really letting us understand it a little further, it'll give them a better understanding of why so much protein and such. But before we do that, I do want to give you a little token of my appreciation for letting us be a part of your family. So I've commissioned a good friend of mine, Corey Beanland. He's an artist. And if you remember, when we came down to visit you not too long ago, we took a picture of this card here.
Right, I remember.
And I sent that off to Corey, and we had him do a little painting for you, and something that you can hang in your house. And so it's a little piece of working art.
Oh, that's classic.
Functional art. You can hang that in here. You don't have to pull this out and ruin it any further.
Oh, that's classic, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
We appreciate you sharing this recipe with us.
Sure, man.
So we're back in our kitchen studio now after visiting with Charles Lafitte, and he was so generous to give us his Savannah red rice recipe. We're going to make it for you here for the very first time to give to the public. He's kept this recipe a family secret for many, many years, and he's allowed us to give it to you. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to prepare it today. So first thing we're going to do is we've got some bacon. There's 4 strips of bacon. We're going to put this into the skillet here, and we're going to crisp that bacon up a little bit. Make sure it's rendered down and get a little bit of that grease in there. So that's going to be the oil that we're going to use to saute some peppers and onions. And we're going to put a little bit of the smoked sausage in with this. And again, what he was talking about in the Savannah red rice, it's not a side dish. This is a meal. This is your entree. So we're going to make this very hearty with a pound of sausage that's going to go in this. So while this is rendering out, I'm going to cut up some peppers and onions. We'll get those ready to go into the skillet once the bacon has been rendered out. You're going to want to use one decent-sized sweet onion, one bell pepper if it's a nice large bell pepper, or two small ones. It doesn't really matter how many vegetables you put in. If you want more vegetables, it's perfectly fine. So we'll keep the onions over here. We have one bell pepper here. Okay, we're going to take the seeds out of this. Then we're going to go ahead and dice this as well. And it's totally up to you how much or how large you want these to be diced. You can, if you want it heartier, you can have a nice big dice. I like a nice medium dice in this. And I like to try to keep everything consistent. So the sausage, the peppers, the onions, they should all be roughly the same size once you put them in there. Okay. So we got the peppers and onions diced up. I'm going to get a little bowl to put those in. Peppers and onions in here while the bacon continues to cook here. And that'll give us a little room here to chop up our sausage and have that ready to go into the mix as well. So put the sausage on here. And I'm going to want to give this a stir. See the bacon's starting to brown up a little bit now, and it's starting to render out the oils there. And that's going to do nothing but leave some good flavor in there when you're cooking in the bacon grease. We'll put that in there. We're going to go ahead and split this sausage. I'm going to split it right down the middle and cut it into half moons here. Like that. We'll do the other half. Bacon's rendering out nicely. We've got that on about a medium-high heat because we don't want to burn it. We want it nice brown and crispy. There's the sausage. That's coming along nicely right there. So the other ingredients that we're going to be adding in here in a little bit, we've got some stewed tomatoes. We've got about 16 ounces of that. We've got some tomato sauce, 8 ounces of that. We've got some hot sauce, whatever hot sauce you prefer. A lot of different flavor profiles in the hot sauces. If you like the one you like, put it in there, not a problem. We're going to add the rice. There's 2 cups of cooked rice. And this is what the question that I had with him about this recipe was. It didn't seem like that was going to be a lot of rice, but that's because, again, it's going to be a meal. It's going to be a big pile of nothing but vegetables and meats and rice to hold it together, and then the tomatoes. So this bacon's rendered out enough right now. I don't want to cook it all the way because we got the sausage we want to put in there. And we want to brown that up a little bit too and start letting some of the natural flavors of the sausage go into the skillet as well. And we preheated our oven too to 350 degrees because once all this gets put together, we put it into a dish. We're going to put it into the oven and bake it. And it'll be baked for about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, so now we've got the bacon and the sausage kind of rendered out a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and turn this off. We don't have to cook this any longer. And we're going to start adding our products here. We're going to do the rice first. So again, that's 2 cups of cooked white rice, 16 ounces of stewed tomatoes. Oop. So we'll blend that in. Add the stewed tomatoes to this. We have our tomato sauce, a little hot sauce. We're going to fold this all in together. Oh, it's looking good already, but when it bakes in there, everything just blends in together. It's the rice finishes soaking up all of the remaining flavors that are in the skillet already. And this will be put aside for a second here. I'm going to grab a saute pan. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to saute the peppers and onions. On the recipe, it says not to overcook the peppers and onions. Why? Because you're going to be baking those off in the oven, and they're going to finish cooking while in the oven. All right, so we put a little bit of vegetable oil in the pan. It's going to get a little hot here. I'll move this out of our way. We'll make a little room. And then we're going to go ahead and put our peppers and onions in here. We're going to saute those a little bit. I do like to season through the layers here, so I'm going to put a little salt, a little bit of black pepper into it. And again, we're just going to saute these till they start to get a little bit tender. They're going to be folded into the rice, go right into the oven for 350 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's going to come out and you're going to be amazed at what we have in front of us. So you see now we've got a little bit of color onto the onions here. They're not too overcooked. We're going to take that, turn the burner off here. We'll put these right in with the rice and the sausage and the bacon and the tomatoes, and this right here we'll just fold together. We'll put into a casserole dish, a baking dish, and pop it right into the oven. We're going to top it with a little shaved Parmesan cheese. Before we do, it'll get a nice little crust over the top of the rice when we put it in the oven and it bakes in there. So I'm going to grab our dish here, and we'll put that right in there. Okay, level that off a little bit. We're going to take a little fresh grated Parmesan cheese right over the top. That looks good right there. You can put as much or as little as you want on the cheese. We're going to take this now, we're going to put it right into the oven at 350 degrees. So I know we said we were going to eat this for an entree, but I still feel like I need something else on the side. I want something a little crispy. So we're going to be doing a tempura crab and onion petals. And then we're going to serve that with a spicy aioli. We're going to go ahead and show you how to make the aioli first. So it's going to be a spicy lemon aioli. We're going to put in a cup of mayonnaise. We're going to put a little bit of cayenne pepper. Okay? That's going to give it a nice little bite in there. A little bit of black pepper, a pinch of salt, and a little bit of sugar, and then some rice wine vinegar. So the rice wine vinegar is going to get a little bit of a tang to it, so you're going to want to put about 3 tablespoons. We'll go ahead and whisk this together. And then we're going to add our lemon to it. So we've got a microplane here, a lemon that we've washed, and we're going to get the zest off the lemon, okay? We're just going to get the outside yellow part. You don't want to go too far down into the white part. It's a little bit bitter. So we're going to get this in here. The oils from the lemon zest are going to meld right in with the vinegar, and the sugar should balance that out a little bit. Then we're going to cut this and give it a little lemon juice as well. There we go. We'll whisk this together and our aioli should be complete, and then we'll go ahead and make the batter for the tempura batter for the crab and the onion petals. So we've got the aioli finished, the lemon, spicy lemon aioli, and now we're going to go ahead and put together the lump crab and onion petals for you. We're going to start out first. We've got Ants and Mills gluten-free flour. This is an amazing product. All the Ants and Mills products, any of their flours and cornmeals, they're all hand ground. They have several employees that are hand grinding this stuff, not machine ground. So the gluten-free flour, though, I've found in making tempura batters that it lends itself to be a little bit more crispy. It has because it's made with like rice flours and different types of flours other than wheat. So it tends to be a little bit crispier when you fry them up. So we're going to start out with a cup of the gluten-free flour. We're going to add a little bit of seafood seasoning, okay? Whatever seafood seasoning you prefer. So about a teaspoon of that. Flavor it up a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of salt. About a teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to whisk this together a little bit, blend it in. And then we're going to add our wet ingredients. The wet ingredients here are going to be water. So you do about a 50-50 ratio of wet to dry ingredients. So we've got 1 cup of flour in here. So we've got 3/4 of a cup of water. And we're going to use a little sherry. The sherry is going to make it a little bit sweeter. And the alcohol in the sherry is going to burn out, and it's going to help keep that batter a little bit crispier. So we're going to be blending this together. So we've got a nice smooth texture here. Then we can go ahead and we can take an onion, and we're going to cut some onion petals. So by petals, I'm going to make them a little bit wider when I cut them, and not quite a julienne. And that way there'll be like a little scoop, and you can scoop up the aioli with the onion petal. So we've got that peeled. We'll take this, and we're just going to cut nice, about 3/4 inch to 1 inch pieces here. And we'll put these into the bowl here. I'm going to break them apart a little bit. Okay? And putting these into the bowl with the crab meat, and then we're going to put a little bit of the batter on top of it, fold it in, and then we're going to fry them until they're nice and crispy. We're going to take them out of the oil, put them on a towel to let them drain a little bit, and then we'll serve that alongside of the red rice when it comes out of the oven. So the onion petals are all flaked apart now, and they're in the bowl here. We're going to add the crab meat now. It's a 1/2 pound of that jumbo lump crab meat. Beautiful, nice big nuggets here. Super sweet when it's fresh like this. We're just kind of mix those in gently. We don't want to break the crab up a little bit. And then we're going to add some batter to that. Just enough to coat them. There we go. And then we're going to just gently fold this together, just to coat them. Okay. The next step, we preheated some oil, some vegetable oil in the skillet here, okay? We want to bring that up to about 375 degrees. And then when you add cold product to it, it'll go down to about 350, which is going to be the perfect frying temperature for this. So we're going to go ahead and just add these little pieces at a time, okay? There's a crab and onion, a couple onions. Just kind of drop it off into little pieces around so they can be individualized. Once they come out of the skillet, you put them on here to drain on the paper towel. You don't want to overload your pan, so just make sure you got one nice layer floating on top of the oil here. We'll let that continue cooking. All right, so you see the batter's starting to crisp up a little bit. It's starting to get a little brown on there, nice and crispy. We're going to go ahead and just kind of turn these over. We got our fish spatula here, so we're not trying to rip anything open. Just nice and gentle. And we're going to let these fry until they're nice and crispy and nice and golden brown all the way around and evenly cooked. All right, so these ones look like they're about done. Nice and crispy, nice golden brown color. We're going to take those and set them on here to drain a little bit on this paper towel. You can see how nice and light and crispy these are. Then we'll go ahead and we'll add the remainder to the skillet. We'll wait a few moments for the rice to finish cooking, and we'll serve it all together. Okay, so we've got the crab and onion petals all set and ready to go. We've got the aioli ready to go. We've got the red rice in the oven. We're going to go grab that red rice out, and we're going to serve up a plate. Look at it, it's just bubbling beautifully. Look how nice that came out. We're going to go ahead and top this off with a little bit of fresh chopped green scallions. Let's go ahead and put a little nest of lettuce on here for the crab and onions. Put those right on top. You can hear how crispy they are. And usually you should probably try something before the guests get it to make sure it's right. Wow, that crab is incredibly sweet and delicious. So we're just going to drizzle a little bit of this aioli on top. Dig right into this red rice. Look at that. So much meat, so much veggies. It's just, I can see why that's going to be the full meal. But I do happen to like a little bit of crab on there. We're going to add a little bit of lemon on the side there in case you want more on the crab. And there you have it. Savannah red rice. We have crab and onion petals and a little bit of spicy lemon aioli.